I live stream fantasy football drafts every single night, but this one's special. Couple different reasons. One, we are first going to be getting into the Flock community tournaments on Underdog Fantasy. They are doing these every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday until the season starts. The last one filled up in like 12 hours. There are 4,800 people that can get in this. You can only get in 3 teams, $44,000 prize pool, $10 buy-in, $10K to first, $5K to second, $4K to third. If you're wondering how you have crazy prizes with the $10 buy-in, it's because you're looking at a structure where the highest scoring team in your 12-team draft will advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament. There in week 15, you'll go up against one person if you beat them. In week 16, you'll go up against one person if you beat them. In week 17, you'll go up against 99 other people. And if you beat them, you will turn $10 into $10,000. Y'all crushed me in these last year, so I'm happy to run it back. But not only are we doing these, but also we are going to get into a $500 fantasy football draft tonight, which I'm currently sitting in the Big Dog lobby right now. So if you want to draft with me for $500, you can find me right there. And at the very end of this, we are going to be getting in a regular redraft mock draft on flockfantasy.com for the people that are not interested in best ball. But Bijan, Lamb both go. I'm going to go ahead and take Saquon Barkley over Jefferson. I understand that, yes, people are coming through and saying, oh, the Jefferson hamstring injury, it's not serious. You don't need to worry about this anymore. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. I'm just not going to take any risk, and I'm going to take the Madden curse. I'm going to take all the volume that we had from last year, and we are going to take Saquon Barkley. But thank you for everybody coming to hang out with us. And PBR Tyler says, me and the best ball guy are also streaming in the same room right now. Is Tyler in this draft with me? Tyler, what's your Underdog username? Is it PPR Tyler or is it something else? The hide and seek says, Mason, how you never pick 10 or 12. Just for you in the regular redraft mock draft we do on flockfantasy.com. Later, I will get either pick 10 or 12. And today's also a good day because if y'all have not noticed, Underdog just went ahead and they just dropped the $3 Pomeranian drafts as well. So if you don't want to hop in a $10 flock tournament, if you don't want to hop in a $500 big dog with us, yes, they did just drop the $3 Pomeranian. This is a larger field contest, $3, 50 entry max, $200,000 prize pool. That one is absolutely insane. And I'd imagine that's probably going to be the most popular draft on Underdog right now. BBR Tyler says, I'm on his channel and he is Polak. So we're going up against them at pick 8. We are having to go up against PPR Tyler and the best ball guy at the moment. There at pick 8, it's going to be a battle. I'm looking forward to it. God, this is going to be a good live stream. And let me pull up that $500 draft room that I'm in right now, and I will let you know how many spots are available. And if anybody wanted to join that with us, you should be able to get in. Okay. Jonathan Taylor goes, after we take Barkley, I think a lot of people would want to go ahead and take the wide receiver here with Tyreek. But I don't know, just the vibes coming out of Miami right now are actually scaring me a little bit when it comes to Tyreek Hill. So instead, I'm going to be passing on him in favor of Bucky Irving. We will go with a running back start out the gate. And yeah, there are a bunch of spots open in this $500 draft, so it's probably going to take a decent amount of time to fill this up. 10 spots open in that, so we will be doing a bunch of the $10 flock tournaments on Underdog, and then the possibly some $3 drafts if y'all want in as well. But Steve says, are we fading the Rams situation due to the Stafford back? I will pull up my Rams exposures. I checked on this earlier today, and I saw that I am underweight the Rams as it stands, but I'm not trying to make some big statement there. I'm going to take Jackson Smith and Jigba here in round 3. A big reason why I'm underweight the Rams is I personally have JSN ranked ahead of Devontae Adams. I have McCaffrey ranked ahead of Puka Nacua. So naturally, I have not gotten a lot of the Los Angeles Rams up until now. Kyron Williams does go in round 4 of Underdog draft, so I do have a decent amount of Kyron. Let me search this. So my most drafted Ram is Terrence Ferguson at 9.9%. Then I have Kyron Williams at 9.6%. Puka Nacua at 6.1%, Matthew Stafford at 5.1%, Devontae Adams at 4.5. So yes, I am very much underweight the Los Angeles Rams offense as it stands today. Everybody besides Terrence Ferguson and Kyron Williams. But let's see what PPR Tyler does. He goes with the elite quarterback in Josh Allen at 32. Bad news with the Josh Allen teams at the moment is Khalil Shakir dealing with the high ankle sprain. Yes, it's August 3rd, but he is week to week, and we know the high ankle sprain is something that you are really looking to avoid. So I liked Khalil Shakir early on, but now it's going to be a little bit tougher for us to make that bet. So I did move Khalil Shakir down my rankings on flockfantasy.com already. And Master Trog, I'm sorry, I'll make sure that you get those sheets. I need to put myself on blast for this because I lied. I told Master Trog I was going to send out the draft sheets to the people who use promo code FLOCK on Underdog this week, and I said I would do that this morning. I lied to you. I didn't send it out, so I'll get that out the second that we end this live stream. So I apologize for that, my friend. Anybody who would use promo code FLOCK on Underdog before Friday, anytime from January 1st this year to before Friday, you should have an email from Mason Dodd at flockfantasy.com in your whatever email address you signed up to Underdog Fantasy for in your inbox. It may be in your spam. It may be in your promotional folder. I just sent out a mass email with all our draft sheets and stuff for free. And yeah, it's not too late if you want to get our draft sheets by taking advantage of the offer on Underdog. I would love to draft with you in any of the Flock community tournaments that we have going on until the season starts. But these are best ball drafts, so it's not going to take away from your main redraft league. Just some extra fun on the side and just a way for you to get in some teams that you don't have to manage during the season. That's how I'm able to draft every single night on the live stream with real dollars on the line. Jaden Daniels goes, I'm not going to take Rashee Rice here given the suspension. I'm not going to take Jalen Hurts either. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to reach on the wide receiver I like in Devonta Smith because this is a flock tournament. I would be surprised if Smith made it back to us in the 5th. But if you wanted to hop in one of these Underdog drafts with us, or just whenever, I mean, they fill in like literally 30 seconds at any point, you can always find the link in the description and the comment section where it says draft with us here. And if you use promo code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus on top of that, you'll get sent all of our 2025 fantasy football draft sheets, which is a total of 50 sheets. So you can use one for your exact league with your exact platform on it. And that will go to the email address you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with, as long as you use promo code FLOCK and made at least a $10 deposit. Now, to take advantage of that offer, you do need to be in one of these states. These are the states that Underdog operates in. Good news for you, it is in pretty much every single state. You can see the map there. But Chuba Hubbard off the board at pick 50. Alvin Kamara goes 51. So we are living the dream here. We are going to get Jalen Hurts at 52 to pair up with Devonta Smith, who we're able to snag in the 4th. So this is just a full-blown Eagles onslaught with Barkley, Smith, and Jalen Hurts. And yes, here at running back, we have Barkley, Bucky Irving, and here at wide receiver, we have JSN and Devonta Smith. Brandon, welcome to being a mother flocker, my friend. And we got TD Vultures out in the chat. Love the clip. Did anybody here watch the Flock League video with the submissions for people auditioning to be a member of the Flock League? And if so, do you remember TD Vulture's clip? But let's see. After we take Jalen Hurts, you have Travis Hunter, Jalen Waddle, Rashee Rice, and George Pickens all off the board. So again, that's PPR Tyler's team in there at the 8 slot, who has Drake London, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens, Josh Allen, and James Cook at the moment. Sportus says, TD Vultures, your crew rocks. 100%. I know I've said that 1,000 times, but TD Vultures, like the fact that you got those boys to go in there and make that video with you is incredible. Okay. Let's move this back. So I like our squad. I think we are, of course, going to have to continue to take wide receivers as this goes. But yeah, TD Vultures, I'm not going to lie to you. I did send. Yours was, I think, the only clip that I had sent to all the creators before we reacted to them all, because as soon as you sent it to me, I was like, this is too good. And since you were at the meetup last year, I had to send it in the chat because I knew that you were buddies with Bland. So I sent them your clip like the second that you emailed it to me. Cito says, where could we watch those vids? Just look up the Flock League on YouTube. And then the most recent videos, like 200 fans audition to be in our fantasy league. That's the title of it. So let's move this over. Ricky Pearsall goes at pick 67. Pearsall has been a big time riser with the Judy and Ayuk injury updates. I'm going to go ahead and take, I'm sorry, not the Judy. I'm taking Jerry Judy with our pick, but with the Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings injury updates. So we'll take Judy here at 69. And I'd imagine that we are going to be taking a wide receiver in the 6th round as well. But Noah says week 9 buys. I understand, yes, we are sitting here with Jalen Hurts week 9 buy, Barkley week 9 buy, Bucky week 9 buy, Devonta Smith week 9, and Jerry Judy week 9 as well. So we are 6 rounds in and we only have one player that does not have a week 9 buy. We probably shouldn't take any more. TD Vulture is going to be at the meetup in Austin. Hell yes. Love to hear that. And of course, if y'all are not going to be at the meetup, I would change that right now, because exactly 2 weeks from today, there will be a meetup in Austin, Texas, Flock League meetup. Really hope that you can make it out. All the details on the screen right here, completely free. Just come hang out with us. Should be a ton of fun. We are going to take Juwan Jennings. I passed on Jennings with him being best available according to ADP back at pick 69. I do think you have to be concerned with the calf injury. Y'all know we made the video at the beginning of the offseason saying that Jennings was a fade for us going at the beginning of round 6, not because I thought we were going to get a calf injury for Juwan Jennings. I had no idea, but mainly because I just don't know if we have the proof that he is a great receiver and not just propped up given the situation last year. I think there's an outside chance it was just the situation propping him up, but I 100% could be wrong on that. So we get him in round 7. We'll go ahead and we will pull the trigger. Okay. Aaron Jones goes off the board at pick 79. So we're in a pretty comfortable spot here with running back Barkley, Bucky, wide receiver JSN, Devonta Smith, Jerry Judy, and Juwan Jennings. Very clearly a weak wide receiver room, but that would be the expectations when you take both running backs with your first 2 picks, as well as an elite level quarterback. Okay. Chicken Nugget says, what is your Bears exposure? I think we went over this the other day on the stream, but I am underweight. I want to say all Bears, but like Luther Burden. I know I'm not underweight Luther Burden. I'm overweight Burden, but the wide receivers, I think I may be almost underweight all the Bears wide receivers. Okay. Let's move this over. Khalil Shakir off the board at pick 84. So I honestly expected that Shakir was going to fall a little bit more with the high ankle sprain news. Like, I was taking Shakir happily in the 7th in Underdog best ball drafts, where it's a little more important for us to build out the wide receiver room. But with the high ankle sprain, I probably wouldn't have considered Shakir until like the middle of the 8th, the end of the 8th. T. Tony says, are you doing any mocks today? Yes, we are going to be doing the Flock tournaments on Underdog. Then I am hoping we can fill a $500 big dog draft on Underdog. I am in that lobby right now if anybody wants to come in and draft with us. And then also we are going to get in a regular redraft mock draft on the, what's it called? On the flockfantasy.com website. Sorry, I was pulling up, just making sure that that $500 draft hasn't filled. Let me make sure I'm looking at the right one. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the right one. Just wanted to triple check. Okay, Joe Mixon off the board 91. Darnell Mooney goes 92. I will just happily take Michael Pittman here. Pittman, great example of a wide receiver that in your regular redraft league, maybe you're not that excited to take, but here in best ball, I think we're going to get some usable weeks. Like the difficulty is in your regular redraft league, when do you know if you're actually going to be able to put him in your lineup? Alcoholic Saints fan says, my 22% Keon Coleman's looking real nice right now. I will pull up my Keon exposures and all my Bills exposures. I did this earlier today because the horrible person I am, player gets injured, I immediately rush to see how much money I've spent on them this year. So Keon Coleman, I have at 11.5% of my drafts. Josh Allen, 10.2%. Dalton Kincaid, 9.2%. James Cook, 7.6%. Khalil Shakir, 7.3%. Ray Davis, 6.7%. Joshua Palmer, 4.1%. So Keon Coleman is my most drafted Bill. I honestly thought I had a lot of Khalil Shakir, though. I mean, I definitely was targeting him aggressively over the past few weeks. I guess maybe I just wasn't drafting him much early in the offseason. Okay. So let's move this back over. Trey Harris off the board here. I think we've done an effective job playing catch up at wide receiver. Baker not in play. I understand that we do have Bucky, but if we take another quarterback here, we're not going to take a third. Jalen Hurts shares the same bye week as Baker. Here at wide receiver, maybe you can push Keon up. My thought process here with the Shakir injury, though, and keep in mind, I just told y'all, Keon Coleman's my most drafted Buffalo Bill. So I would love to sit here and say like, oh, Keon Coleman to the moon. I just moved him ahead of Cooper Kupp in my rankings, but that's not true. Let me pull up my updated rankings real quick just so I can go over this. And again, these rankings I make on flockfantasy.com are not for underdog drafts. They are not for best ball drafts. They are for your regular redraft leagues. So they're going to be for your draft on ESPN, your draft on Yahoo, your draft on Sleeper, whatever it may be. But I updated mine. I moved Khalil Shakir. Actually, maybe I lied to you. Maybe I did move Keon Coleman one spot ahead of Kupp. I moved Shakir down to wide receiver 47. And I moved Keon up a decent bit. I have him here back to back with Cooper Kupp at wide receiver 49 and wide receiver 50. My thought process with Keon, though, and why I'm not going to skyrocket him up the rankings is I think he's a very different wide receiver and almost plays a completely different position than what you have with Khalil Shakir. Like Shakir, I'm not saying he's only a slot wide receiver, but operating in that area of the field where Keon's more a boundary player. But Avery's stopping by, says the Angel Reese comp is inaccurate. I have way better eyelashes. Let me pull this up real quick. I'm going to, y'all know like those puzzle games of like spot the difference, and you look at two pictures right next to each other and see if you can tell what's apart. They always do them like when I was at the Dodgers game earlier this year. Like they put up two pictures. It was like, oh, what's the difference? And one of them, they flipped the Nike logo, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if y'all can see the difference between these. I've been working on this. And I think it's going to be a little tough, so definitely take your time with it. But give me 1 second to pull this up. Okay. So you do not need to see. Okay, right there. Could y'all see the difference between these two? I promise y'all I changed something. I changed one or two things. Look hard. You may need to squint. I'm just kidding. They're the same picture. All right, let's move this over. And for the joke, we ended up getting autoed Shaheed. We're not going to be doing stuff like that in the $500 draft. But I'm willing to sacrifice the Shaheed pick in a $10 one. But Vinny says Angel isn't wearing a hat, otherwise looks the same. Way too similar. Way too similar. But let's move this over. We don't need to go into Avery more than that. But yeah, I was messaging Avery earlier today, and he said that y'all were attacking him. I was like, it's not my fault. My game is Caitlin Clark's, and you're a rebounding queen. That's not on me. All right. Tajay Spears off the board. I like Tyler Warren here a ton. I know we went over this early in the offseason, but early in the offseason, Tyler Warren was a top 3 most drafted player for me. The issue now, and honestly, this goes with our Pittman pick as well. It's like if Anthony Richardson is the starting quarterback, like I'm definitely less excited about Tyler Ward and Michael Pittman Jr. than I would be with Daniel Jones. I'm not saying like Daniel Jones would be a better quarterback for the Colts, but if you're wanting like passing volume in this offense, Daniel Jones would be a better quarterback. Okay. G-Temp says that's a best ball guy, not PPR Tyler. So best ball guy and PPR Tyler. PPR Tyler's when he came in the chat with us. So let's move this over and let's see what they're rolling with at this point. Best ball guy and PPR Tyler have Neighbors, London, Josh Allen, James Cook, Pickens, Debo, Laporta, Jalen Warren. So they actually get the fall of Keon Coleman down to them at pick 104. So I'm sure that they were super excited about that, which obviously that would be the ideal in that scenario. Okay. And let's move this down. Trevor Lawrence goes 131. CJ Stroud goes 132. So obviously best ball, we're going to need to take another quarterback, but we're not stressing about it. We got Jalen Hurts. Okay. And if you have not done so already, please go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to be able to come out to these live streams regularly, if you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will tell you when we're live. Okay. Avery, you want to see something funny? Let me show all the Rome Odunze fanboys one of my favorite comparisons from last season. And the people on the live stream that have been here for a while now probably have already seen this, but Keon Coleman versus Rome Odunze in 2024. Despite Rome having 32 routes per game to Keon Coleman at only 23, Keon Coleman still slightly outscores him. Which I'm not telling you that. Okay, we're going to take Dallas Goedert here. I think Dallas Goedert in general is the best pick in round 12. At the same time, we need a tight end, and we have Jalen Hurts. So for those reasons, it's a no-brainer. But let's move this over. Bulldog LLC says it's a brand new offense in Chicago. Yes, that may be true. And also the brand new offense may feature Loveland and Luther Burden. We don't know yet. Obviously, I'm trolling, but more of a pro Keon take than a negative Rome take. Like if we're all in on Rome in round 5, I don't think we can just say, oh, Keon Coleman's a complete bust and he's never going to do anything. Because with fewer snaps, fewer routes, Keon Coleman was much more efficient last year than what you had with Rome. Okay, so here, I think we are in play to take another running back. We're going to go Najee Harris. So again, with Najee, the benefit that you get is one hard-ass nickname where we are allowed to call him the Cyclops. You can't call Najee the Cyclops or it would be offensive if you did not draft him on your fantasy team. But we all know you draft a player on your fantasy team, and then all of a sudden, you can give them whatever nickname you want. That's just the laws of physics, the rules of human nature. I didn't write them, but I do follow them. Okay. Yes, at least Najee was at practice yesterday. Okay, this is hilarious. Alcoholics fan says pro drafted Fetty Wap. We got to pull this up for the bit too. We're going to play Spot the Difference one more time. Okay. Everybody look nice and close. Picture 1, picture 2. Picture 1, picture 2. Which one was Najee and which one was Fetty Wap? Damari Douglas off the board at 155. All jokes aside, obviously we are hoping that Najee Harris is well. And if he is, I think he's going to be a great value here at pick 148. Well, yes, I did see Caleb crashing out at practice. So Bryce Young goes 156. We still need another quarterback, right? We really haven't had the opportunity to take another. Like, unless 117, maybe we could have taken one. But again, I got autoed. I was too busy showing Avery next to Angel Reese. Let's move this down. And we have Cam Ward, Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith all off. Jalen Wright goes at 162. I'm probably done drafting tight ends with the combo of Dallas Goedert and Tyler Warren. I do just really like both players. So they were only quarterback, running back, and wide receiver from here on out. I think we can get up to an 8th receiver for this team. I will just take Tyler Algier, though, as our 4th RB off the board, getting about 11 picks past ADP. Nobody else really stands out to us at this point. And it's a little too early for us to go through and reach on our next quarterback. Okay, Desire Best says, I've seen so much negative Bears tape on X. So, like, with the Bears, clearly there are so many reasons to be excited with the offensive line improvements, with the coaching staff change, and with the additional weapons that you get in the NFL drafts. But it's very much priced in. Like, you're not getting any type of discount from their production last year. So Jack Besh goes 170. Adam Thielen off the board. We will take Sam Darnold here as our second quarterback. Just get some usable weeks. We have Jackson Smith and Jigba, so we need it. Zig says, Mason, when I try to enter a mock draft on this site, it says request timestamp out of acceptable range. So the way that flockfantasy.com like runs the drafts is it's off like local time on the computer, like how the timer was built from the devs. Don't ask me why they did it this way. It doesn't have to be that way on Underdog. It's not that way on any other fantasy football site I know. But that's how they did it. So you do need to have like the accurate time on your computer. So if I were you, I'd just try to like update your computer time to whatever the accurate like time zone should be. And then you should be fine. Desire Best is how many spots left in the big dog? So the $500 draft has 6 spots open. So we started the live stream and it had 10 spots open, and it will, we will switch to that as soon as it fills. But after we finish this one, we're probably going to hop in another flock draft tournament on Underdog. And I think we're going to start doing like 4 or 5 drafts every live stream from here on out. Because again, I have less than 2 weeks until my fantasy football draft. So it is go time. The draft boards have changed a considerable amount with all the injuries and training camp news as well. Sort of make sure we get it right. Okay. Let's move this over. Sir Alexander says, Mason, I'm legitimately serious about this. You need to ban Tom from the Flock League for giving out a 3 just because he was also Tom. 1, his name's Thomas. 2, he got second place last year. 3, Evil Peanut, aka the other Tom who auditioned, was not going to win regardless. I'm sure that Thomas would have given him a different score if he thought he had a shot to win, but if Thomas would have given him a 10, he still would not have finished inside the top 3. So I think he was just trying to be funny. Okay, Keenan Allen off the board at pick 183. I'm going to maybe do something that y'all hate. We'll see. Henry says, did you see the bad Nick Chubb report today? That was not music to your ears having so much Chubb. I did not. Let me pull up whatever came out about Nick Chubb. Yes, I have drafted a ton of Nick Chubb. We did so before the most recent Joe Mixon report. So Nick Chubb's burst, quote unquote, nowhere to be found. Texans Wire's Cole Thompson includes running back Nick Chubb as one of the losers of training camp so far. Right now, starting Chubb might be the biggest red flag for Houston long-term, Thompson writes. So far in camp, that burst needle, blah, blah, blah. Well, we are going to take Anthony Richardson. I know this looks absolutely crazy, and I'd say 99% of drafts that you take Jalen Hurts in, you were only drafting 2 quarterbacks on Underdog. But when we get Jalen Hurts in round 5, we don't get our second quarterback until round 15. 2, this is the flock tournament, so you need to be the highest scoring team in the regular season in your 12-team draft. And 3, we had Tyler Warren, we have Michael Pittman Jr. The only way our team's any good is if the Colts surprise to the upside. So we are going to run with it. But realistically, I don't think anybody here expects Nick Chubb to have a ton of burst at this point of his career. When you're drafting Nick Chubb, you're hoping that you get Kareem Hunt's season from last year. Yeah. Henry says 3 quarterbacks makes sense in this format. It for sure makes sense in this format. I just think that there'll be some people, like the issue with some stuff that we do in some of these drafts is people like apply the puppy strategy or the best ball mania strategy that they're used to seeing and think that the same exact team should be drafted in every other tournament. It should be slightly different strategy. We're going to take Rico Dowdle. You actually have positive news coming out of Dallas surrounding Jaden Blue, and Miles Sanders is banged up at the moment. So we will just take Rico. Gang Green says, should I hop in the $500? General rule of thumb, if you should hop in a $500 draft. Are you fine lighting $500 on fire? Because 2 things. 1, only 2 teams advance to the playoffs. So I believe that unless you are a top 2 team in the 12-team draft, your $500 goes poof. It's gone. The second thing with that is I am in this $500 draft. So in reality, you only have 1 spot to get to the playoffs. So if you're asking yourself, should I get in the $500 draft? I would say the first thing is, have you done a bunch of Underdog drafts before? Do you know what you're doing on Underdog? If the answer to that is no, then go get in the $3 drafts, go get in a $10 flock draft. Second question is, am I fine lighting $500 on fire? If the answer to that is no, then no, you should not get in the draft. Okay. Let's move this over. Trenton says Rico isn't a Cowboy. I know Rico's not a Cowboy, but Miles Sanders is a Cowboy, and we were referring to Miles Sanders when we were talking about that. Obviously, Rico Dowdle is a Carolina Panther running behind Chuba Hubbard and right ahead of Trevor Etienne. The concern with drafting Rico Dowdle is that Trevor Etienne has a split with this backfield if something were to happen to Hubbard. Trav Snow says, rent's due, but rent isn't going to win me $200,000. Rent is going to make sure you're not homeless, though. That's worth bringing up. And I guess one other thing that is noteworthy is James Cook, not at camp. He's saying that standing on business, needs a new contract, blah, 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 blah. My guess with the James Cook situation is he'll be a Buffalo Bill this year. They'll pay him. My guess with the Terry McLaurin situation is he'll be a Commander this year. They will pay him. Could be wrong, but that's my guess at the moment. Hardib says, technically, you'd only be homeless for the NFL season. That is true. Technically, you only be homeless for the NFL season. And then after the NFL season, you'll no longer be renting, you'll own your home. $200K should be good enough for a 20% deposit. Let's move this over. Kyle Manungai off. I don't need another running back. Maybe I could. We're just going to take a receiver. We'll be boring. A wide receiver. We'll take Roman Wilson. Okay. Here's what I'm going to have to do. I apologize for this, but Safari's being weird. Again, Underdog's very serious about you're only allowed to draft in the states that they operate in. They're fully regulated, blah, blah, blah. And for that reason, when Safari on my computer decides to block my location, I have to enter into these drafts on my phone. So 3, 2, 1. I just entered into the new Flock community contest. And let me pull this up on my computer. And we'll get this going on the screen for y'all real quick. So you can only draft 3 teams in the Flock community contest, which is worth mentioning because these things fill up quickly. And I think they would fill up even quicker if you could draft more than 3 teams, of course. Well, let's move this over. Head of table says he's 5% cooked, 250 drafts, thankfully. So I know we put out the video to be early in the offseason, having James Cook as one of our 5 least drafted players. And the reason for that, again, was because you used to be able to get Alvin Kamara and Chuba Hubbard at the end of the 5th round, and James Cook would go at the beginning of the 4th. So if you go back to that video, we talked about rushing touchdown regression, and we talked about the opportunity cost, and we'd rather just take Kamara or Hubbard about 20 picks later. But over the past few weeks, Chuba Hubbard and Alvin Kamara have climbed up to be early 5th round picks, and you've actually had James Cook fall back to being the mid 4th, late 4th. So I've been drafting James Cook a lot more than we were early in the offseason. So I'm up to 7.6% James Cook. Still underweight, but definitely been drafting him more of the past few weeks. And again, I'm not that worried about James Cook. Like, I don't think you should be... Like, if James Cook starts falling dramatically in these drafts, I'll start scooping. James Cook in round 5 would be an auto pick for me. 0 hesitation. Okay. We have Vinny in this draft with us. If y'all don't know, if y'all are new here, Vinny in the 2-hole is a bigger part of the channel than I am at this point. Nico Collins goes ahead of both CMC as well as Puka Nacua. Y'all know I've been taking McCaffrey at pick 7 for quite some time. For that reason, we are generally overweight McCaffrey. Okay. Henry says, pick 8, worst spot in the draft, but I'm saved by the Nico pick. Again, I went over this earlier. I don't have a ton of Puka Nacua. I went over all my Rams exposures. The only Rams I'm overweight on are Terrence Ferguson, and I have 9.6% Kyron. But I'm underweight Puka. But I still think I would rather have Puka over these other receivers, even with the Stafford back. The only reason I haven't drafted a ton of them is we are just early in drafting McCaffrey at pick 7. Okay. Trent says, do you think Saquon should move up with AJ and Devonta Smith dealing with injuries? No, because I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be any less they're going to be any less run heavy. They're going to run the ball as much as they can, regardless of who's at wide receiver. We saw last year that their plan A is going to be running the football. They can't skew any more run heavy if AJ Brown gets injured. And one thing that I'm going to start doing with these streams, watching the domain stream gave me the idea of this. We're going to take AJ Brown. I know I've said this a bajillion times, but whenever I won the big dog, which is the $500 tournament we'll be doing later in the stream, I won 100,000, and McCaffrey and AJ Brown were my first 2 picks. So always like reuniting the guys. Whenever I won the tournament, though, it was only a $250 buy-in. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So what we're going to do every night in the live stream until the season starts is at the end of every single stream, I'm going to give away a season pass to flockfantasy.com for free. So they have like a little bot scraper that can like immediately, like randomly pick somebody in the chat. I'm just going to close my eyes and scroll up and down. And I'll even go like this. I'll do the whole 9 yards so y'all can see me. I'll download the bot picker and everything, but I will make sure that this first time we go like that, make it look random. It'll be random, you know what I mean? But make it obvious. And then tomorrow's stream, I'll have the little automated bot that will go through and pick somebody. And then if you get picked for a free season pass and you've already bought one, then I'll go onto Stripe and I'll refund you the $34. So if you already bought a season pass, you'll just get $34 to your bank account. If not, you'll get the free season pass. Carter says to spam the chat. Yeah, not right now. Whenever I say, it'll be get ready, go. What's your flockfantasy.com username? And then we'll go like that, scroll up and down, and click somebody randomly, and whoever we click, if I check there, if I'll go on flockfantasy.com, look at my users page, and click somebody random. Okay. Josh Allen off at 29. Amari Hampton goes 30. Lamar goes 31. I was actually not going to take any of the elite quarterbacks here. I will take Garrett Wilson. I have JSN ranked ahead of Garrett Wilson. I'll take JSN at the beginning of round 3. I'll take Garrett Wilson when he falls this far, which will mean I'm definitely going to have more Jackson Smith and Jigba than I will Garrett Wilson, but I think it's going to lead to a little slightly more unique combos. But Steelheader, welcome to being out of the flocker, my friend. Okay. Let's see. And just in case you don't know what a season pass is, I'm sure most of y'all know. I've only said it 1,000 times, but obviously we have all the tools on flockfantasy.com that we always show. Obviously all my rankings, both rest of season and weekly rankings through the entire year. Plus we have all the draft guides posted on the site, all the tools. We do have the season pass going right now on flockfantasy.com. It's only $34 one time. You're done. It is both at the same time the best product in fantasy football and the cheapest product in fantasy football. Now, we've been working on this website for a long, long time, investing into it, like 3 years now. So, if you use promo code FLOCK as well, if you buy the 2025 season pass on flockfantasy.com, I will also be answering your start sit questions and your trade questions in the season for free. You'll get 4 total free questions. Okay. McDo says, does the season pass include the domain algorithm? That thing looks sweet. Yes, sir. The season pass includes everything on the website. So if you want to go through and check out the domain algorithm, you can do that. If you want to check out the land draft guide, you can do that. If you want to look at the draft sheets, which is, I would recommend taking this to your actual draft in terms of studying it. It doesn't matter. Or you can go through and look at the FSC redraft manifesto, but that's all included with the season pass. Desire best. Yes, we will still do a mock draft on flockfantasy.com tonight. Luke says, dang, can't believe it's already been 3 years of the website. Appreciate you sticking with me. And maybe 3 years is an exaggeration. I started on the website whenever I lived in the apartment in Austin. I hired a former computer science friend that I had at UT and his buddy. They were both part-time doing it after their main jobs. We worked on it for like 3 or 4 months for it to be like initially usable and get it out the door. Got it out the door. They kept on working on it for like another 8 months. I realized like, hey, if we want this to be really good, we have to hire actual full-time people, hire 2 full-time people, let go of the 2 other people. It was more of a mutual split. Then that went for like a year. And then we added Tom as a part-time person. Then we added Kruno as another part-time person. And now we actually just have a new person, Nate. So now we're up to 5 on flockfantasy.com. So we've been going. James Cook slides all the way down to 54. I will have James Cook as an auto pick. We're going to take Chuba Hubbard here at 56. Yeah, but James Cook pick 54 is an auto pick. Do not let this slide happen. Like, please take him there. But how many spots are left in the $500 draft? Let me pull this up. Last I checked, it was 6. And now it is 5. There are 5 spots open in the $500 draft. Okay. Easy Money Carson says it has a roster breakdown. If you're talking about the season pass, the $34 does not come with a roster review. The $34 season pass comes with the start sit questions and the trade question vouchers. But the roster review takes way too much time where it just would not be possible for us to give a roster review for $34. If there were 10 of me, yes, we could do it, but there's only one. So, no, the annual Mother Flocker is still the package that gives you a roster review with it. And that gives you access to everything for 12 months. And it gives you a roster review, but it's also $97. This is only $34. So let's look at this. We're going to take Chris Olave, probably. Like Jawan Jennings, just less interesting given the fact that you are dealing with the calf. Deebo Samuel, I think, is in a much better offensive environment, but at the same time, I think is a much worse wide receiver at this point of his career. Easy Money says, do you still send roster reviews on Discord sound files? Oh, no, you must be very far behind. We answer all the questions now through flockfantasy.com. You'll see during the season, I'll be live streaming, and there is this thing called stream mode on the site. And I can go through and get questions submitted. I put in my little YouTube URL link, and this is actually really cool on the website. And this is how I'm going to be answering your start set questions and stuff. So just to show you how this works is like a back end. The devs, like, incredible that we have this. And actually somebody who never even played fantasy football, Tom's the one who came up with this idea. Like, I'll go live, right? I'll put my YouTube URL in there. I'll hit start streaming. And then on our system, like on flockfantasy.com, it will mark that live stream. And then say I do a 7-hour live stream answering questions. And Carson, I reviewed your team 4 hours and 38 minutes into it. As soon as I hit next question, it marks it complete on the site. It sends you a message, like it sends you an email, and then it sends you a message on the site saying, hey, Mason completed your review. Click this link. It's here. You click the link and it jumps you to the exact second that I answered your question. So it could be like a 7-hour live stream, but instead of you having to like skim and try to find when it was answered, it just takes you to right the mark that it was answered, which is super cool. Jawan Jennings off at 79. So Jennings falling. We took Jennings in the early 7th previously. I'm going to go Tony Pollard. I have Joe Mixon ranked behind these other running backs. I think if it was Best Ball Mania and like a lot of drafts, Joe Mixon went at the 4 or 5 turn, then you can justify taking the ADP value that you get with Joe Mixon here and just take the risk on the injury. But my thing is this tournament literally just dropped today. So every single draft that's been done, Joe Mixon's going to go in round 6 at the very earliest. Okay. But let me move this over. Easy Money says, thank you, Mason. I'll send my roster in. It's an annual tradition. I am the current champ. Well, I appreciate you, my friend. And hopefully it'll be a much better experience. Because what's also a lot better than this, than how we used to have to do it back on the day whenever we would do it on Discord, is I can actually pull in like the league analyzer, right? So like I can go through and it says like, oh, this team is team number 4. This team CD's nuts. I can look at your team. I can look at all the league settings down here on the bottom. And then I can also go through and I can look at other teams in the league to try to come up with try to come up with potential trades. So not only is it like a lot easier for you to actually get to your review, but from like a creator's perspective, it's much better for me to actually be able to give you quality advice just because I get a lot more context in the league. Like if y'all had a chance to see the video today of like how I adjust, how I value players and strategy overall, with every different league setting. Patrick Mahomes is the auto pick here. We have Xavier Worthy. This is a no-brainer. But it's like, oh, with this league analyzer, I can now all of a sudden see, is this a 14-team league where depth's going to be a lot more important? Or is somebody sending me in a 10-team league with 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, where it's just studs and duds? And also, I can go through your waiver wire with the site. So I had Cruno is the designer of the website. And he has new designs done for the My Teams page and stuff, which will eventually be the dashboard. And that will be done by, like, it'll be done within 3 weeks. So you'll actually see the My Teams page is already incredible, but it's even going to get better. Easy Money says, bet, shout out from Norway. I've been here since 2021. Appreciate you, my friend. And now that you say you're from Norway, I definitely remember the name. Before you said that, I legit had no idea you were, which is rude for me to say. But with you, you always give the Norway shout out, so it's easy for me to remember that. Okay. So let's see where Keon Coleman ends up going in this draft, because Keon Coleman in the last draft ended up falling to pick 104. And the Josh Allen team got him. Khalil Shakir still won at pick 77 to the Josh Allen team in this one. Again, I expected Khalil Shakir to fall a little bit more given the high ankle sprain. Yeah, and the Josh Allen team just double taps and goes Keon Coleman here 101 as well. Okay, let's move this over. Couple different things we can do with this pick that are really interesting. Dobbins goes 102. Andrews off the board. We'll take Travis Kelce, our first tight ends. We need a tight end. I think Kelsey's a decent value in comparison to the wide receivers, and we have Patrick Mahomes and Worthy. So we can just go ahead and build out the double stack. I think it fits the roster quite well. Let me see how many spots are open in the $500 drafts. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Yeah, still 5 spots. God dang. Hopefully this fills. So maybe after this one, we hop in a draft on flockfantasy.com waiting for the $500 one. We'll see. Alan says, is it true Sydney Sweeney applied to be in the Flock League? She did. I told her, given our relationship, it would be a little bit of a conflict of interest if I included her. And she went, oh, Mason, please let me in. I'll let you have I'll do whatever trade you want. Blah, blah, blah. And I went, yeah, well, that's the issue. That's the conflict of issue. I mean, the conflict I'm talking about. So we weren't able to get her in. So Easy Money says, Mason, are you doing Ironman still? I signed up. Okay. Short story. I signed up to Ironman Lake Placid this year. And I did not go and I didn't do it. Which, that's the fact of the matter. And the fact of the matter is embarrassing. And let me lead with that. Now, I do have a decent little excuse. This year I tried. I don't want to say I tried. I did. I did a 100-mile ultra marathon in the mountains outside of San Diego. And it was just too close to Ironman Lake Placid, where I wasn't recovered in time. I think I could have done it, but it would have been brutal. And the taper I would have had to do before and after, I just didn't want to have to put up with. Like, for the 100-mile ultra, I had to do a much larger taper than I had to do for the Ironman. Like, general rule of thumb, if anybody hasn't done one of these, obviously it's not an exact science, and I'm not any good at this. So go watch other people on YouTube that are good at it, and they'll have much better things to say. But general rule of thumb is, like, if you do an Ironman, the 2 weeks before, you kind of have to taper, which means you don't really work out much for the 2 weeks before. You just rest. And then the week after, you can't really work out either. You just kind of got to rest. So it's like a 3-week block if you're doing an Ironman race, unless you're a professional. But if you're just an average Joe like me, it's like 3 weeks that you can't work out. For the 100-mile ultra marathon, it was even larger than that, where I had to start the taper 3 weeks before the race. And then it probably took me like 8-9 days to get back into it after the race. So if I was going to do the Ironman right after that, it was going to be like another 2-week taper and then like another week not working out. So it would have meant like this summer having 2 races that close together. I would have spent like 6 weeks resting almost. Which, all excuses. Fact of the matter is I signed up and didn't do it. Okay, let me see if there's anything here that's relevant for me. I think we can just... I don't know who to take. You could go Justin Herbert, and then on the way back around, you could possibly opt to take Quentin Johnston. And now y'all know I'm never going to cry about having to take the big Q, but at the moment, if Keenan Allen's going there, it may not be the best. And none of the quarterbacks complete any stacking options for us. I hate Marvin Mims. Not as a football player, but personally. So we'll take Tucker Kraft. Let's see. Easy Money says, does Underdog work outside the USA now? I want to support you more than just a mother flock. I'm very sorry, my friend. Underdog is just in the US. I really do appreciate it, though. How about this? If I ever go to Norway, better show me around. Which, honestly, this may work out perfectly for us. Because if we end up taking Kraft in round 11, then on the way back, we get Jordan Love. Okay, thank you. Check, please. That's perfect. Let's smooth this over. Hunter says, LOL, why do you hate him personally? I'm so curious. Marvin Mims owes me a lot of money. Like, put this on the record. Marvin Mims owes me $2.8 million. And I don't even want to get out the calculator to figure out that is with interest. But Andrew says, have you ever thought about recording your races? Yes. I had a plan. The Ironman, you can't. The Ironman, you can't have your phone or... Actually, that's a lie. What the hell am I talking about? There's a freaking vlog I put on the channel. So for the 100-mile race this year, I was planning on drafting an underdog team during it and like make it like a TikTok out of it, going like, oh, drafting a fantasy football team while running 100 miles. And then I started the race and quickly realized I am falling apart. This is way harder than I thought it was going to be. And those plans just went out the window. But I did have an Ironman vlog. If you look up Flock Fantasy Ironman, there's this video here, which you can see. This is like my entire trip to France and doing the Ironman from last year. And I will say, as a side note, if anybody's interested in like doing any stuff like that, I was definitely in better shape for the Ironman. Like if you're trying to get in good shape, do that. Don't do the 100-mile ultra. It's not good if you want to get in shape. We'll take Najee Harris again. I'll call him the Cyclops. I'll fully admit that he could be an absolute zero. But 152 feels like it's decent enough to roll the dice. Mr. Picklehead Fader says you could do an underdog draft during the Ironman, but no commentary and then do a voiceover. The issue is during an Ironman, like you can't have your phone, you can't have headphones. Like during the 100-mile race, you can. Like the Ultra, I had my phone with me the entire time. It was in my backpack. So I thought I was going to do it. But again, it was just way tougher. Now, Bryce Young off the board to pick 155. Spicy Hot stopping by says, hey, Mason, I have an absolute killer idea for a shot of the draft stream. I'm going to test it this week and can't wait to show y'all the idea for y'all going into the draft room. Well, hop on a call with me, my guy, because I got some cool ideas too. So I'd be super happy to check out what you got. But let's move this down. Yeah, Corey texted me about you bringing computer, or not computer stuff, camera stuff. But of course, feel free to bring whatever you want. Okay. Hunter Henry goes 158. Joe says, what was your mile time for the Ultra? Extremely slow. It had 15,000 feet of elevation gain. It was just up and down mountains the entire time. Let me pull this up, but it was not the best. Okay. Matthew Stafford off the board at pick 160. Let's go ahead and... what do we want? I think we probably take Algier. We can definitely go with the third quarterback, but no quarterbacks at play here. And so Eckler goes, Geno off the board as well. Come on, you bad dog. Ugh. So now running back, we are sitting with CMC, Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pollard, Najee Harris, Tyler Algier. I think we're done at running back. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Xavier Worthy, Chris Olave, Shaheed. Tight end, we have Kraft and Kelsey. Quarterback, we have Mahomes and Love. So it's an awkward spot where we can get away with these two quarterbacks. We don't have to take a third. We can get away with these two tight ends. We don't have to take a third. I feel like we can get away with these 5 running backs. We don't have to take a 6th. But like every position could use an extra spot. So we'll just see what ends up making it to us. Okay. But sorry, I was trying to find the screenshot of the 100-mile race. I did do a marathon this year and went sub 3, ran at like 2:55. So not always the slowest person ever, but let's see. Here's some pictures from the 100-miler. I put this out on Twitter. What was my average pace was 16:37. My average grade adjusted pace 14.58. The last 40 miles of the race, I maybe ran 0.1 of them. It was straight walking. Pat Bryant goes 174. I think we go Jack Besh here. Let me think of this. Yes, we were going to take Jack Besh. I think he's the one player that won't make it back to us, or is guaranteed not to make it back. Okay. And yeah, I'm definitely not taking Tyler Shuck. There's no world in which I'm drafting him. Michael says, did he just say he can run a sub 4 mile? Oh, 0. No, I don't know. I ran a sub 3 marathon, but I was not a runner in high school. I played tennis. Dimey Brown goes 180. So Jack Besh was also an easy pick because it's like the one position we know we need another. I know I need another receiver. Like it's not getting it done with A.J. Brown, Wilson, Worthy, and then the Saints guys. Tomas says, thoughts on Terry and how his draft stock will change if he goes to the Pats. My thoughts are he's most likely going to be a Commander this year. If he were to go to the Patriots, I think it would hurt Stephon Diggs a considerable amount. It would make Kyle Williams undraftable. It would probably hurt Terry McLaurin slightly and move Deebo Samuel up the board by about a round. And then it'd be great for Drake May. Great for May. I would be a lot higher on Drake May than I am currently. Okay. Roshan Johnson, we are going to take Sam Darnold. That was what I was considering in the last round. Then I went through and I looked at these teams, and a lot of them already had 3 quarterbacks. If you were in like maybe a Best Ball Mania draft, Darnold may not be the play there, just given the fact that you really do need to hunt for the highest ceiling possible. But here, when only one team makes it to the fantasy playoff tournaments out of the 12 teams drafted, you need to have a ton of points in weeks 1 through 14. And in week 15 and 16, you don't have to go up against a bunch of people. You only play one other person. So in reality, you don't need to have the highest ceiling possible. So I think having a third quarterback here that's not stacked, I don't want to say is ideal. Like, I'd rather have my third quarterback stacked, but it's just fine. Okay. And I may end up having to change the title because I don't think the $500 draft is going to fill. People just left the $500 draft, actually. Keenan Allen goes 196. Woody Marks goes 197. So let's move this over. Russ, why has Rico Dowdle been falling so much? Did something negative come out about Dowdle today? I'll take Darius Slayton. There are a bunch of running backs that can make it back to us in the 18th round. Darius Slayton's going to be in 2 wide receiver sets for the Giants, or at least he should be. Perfect example of a player that would never matter in a regular redraft league because you would never know when to start him. But here in best ball, you can get a couple usable weeks. But can y'all please let me know, did anything happen with Rico Dowdle? Like, why is he falling so much? And I'm not leaving the $500 draft just yet. Just to let everybody know. I'm still staying in it. But I'm just being transparent with. We got down, I think there were 4 or 5 spots left in the draft. And now there are a decent amount. Ross Kretz says, isn't the third string getting some hype? Is Trevor Etienne getting hype right now? Is that what's happening? I will probably go with DJ Giddens as a 6th RB. Like, our first 3 running backs are very strong with CMC, Chuba, Tony Pollard. But then we wait a while for Najee and Tyler Algier. So let's grab DJ Giddens. So here's what we're going to do. Let's get into another flock tournament. I need to enter it on my phone. So we're going to get in another flock tournament on Underdog. Then we'll still do the regular redraft mock draft at the end of this live stream. And at the end of this live stream, I'm going to be giving away a season pass to flockfantasy.com to one of y'all watching this. You'll need to have an account on flockfantasy.com. Use promo code FLOCK. And we will give, I'm sorry, what the hell am I doing here? I'm entering in a flock community contest. All right. Just got in that flock draft. But yeah, and at the end of this live stream, I'll just ask you to leave your flock username in the live chat. And I will pick one of y'all. I'll randomly do it and hook you up with a free pass for the 2025 season. And then if you already bought that pass, I will go onto Stripe and I'll refund you. So you'll just get $35 hitting your account. Joe says, what's the max payout of the $500 draft? It's $200,000. Okay, we got Maxwell in this draft at pick 3 right next to us. Happy to have you, my friend. Happy to have you. Okay. Hansel says, is Judkins worth the risk in Dynasty right now? Drafting tomorrow, when will we know more? I don't know, my friend. I moved Judkins behind like Loveland, Tyler Warren, Nick Buka in my Dynasty rookie rankings, if that helps. We got Hunter in this draft at 9. We have Chris in this draft at 4. We have Seahawks fan shouting us out at 2. Leo says, thoughts on taking Kyle Pitts in round 1. I completely understand where you'd be coming from. Like, and I'm not going to fault you if you want to take him round 1. I just think that you probably could get away with drafting him in round 2. I think he'll be there in round 2 for you. We're going to take Bijan Robinson. Again, with the Jefferson hamstring stuff, I just have been pivoting off Jefferson here inside the top 6 players. Okay. Lee says, could you get both first and second place in the same exact tournament, like first and second in the big dog? Yes, but it has never happened before. You know what I'm going to do? Let me go back to the year I got 16th place in Best Ball Mania. I've been saying for the longest time that I only had one team advance to the finals that year. But there's a small chance that I had multiple teams advance. And I just was so blinded by winning the other tournaments. Let me pull this up. Oh, you know what's funny pulling this up? I have had two teams in the same tournament before in the final week. You go back to the year where I won the big dog. I had two entries in week 17. So technically I could have won the, I could have gotten first and second place. Yeah, this was the final screenshot from that week. So I did only have one team in the BBM final, and I got 16th place in that. But I had two teams, and so if the second team would have done very well, it would have been crazy if I got first and second. Brock Bowers goes 22. We'll take Taylor. Antonio says, do the season pass have in-season tools to help during this season? Yep. The season pass will include all the in-season tools on the site, including the weekly rankings, including the rest of season rankings, including, I'm going to take JSN here, including the trade calculator, the trade finder, the My Teams page, everything that's on the site you will get. Alcoholic Saints fan says, I just got my rad badge today. I'm a full degenerate now. Well, welcome. So we are going to hopefully get into the $500 draft after this one. But if it does not fill, we will instead do the draft on flockfantasy.com. We'll just do a regular redraft mock. And then after that, we'll give away the season pass. Dylan says, is Mixon falling to round pick 90 a reasonable pick? I would love to take Mixon there. Sarlt says, when you gift at the end of the stream, is it based on who spams the most? So I will get like a bot scraper for the streams going into the future. But for this first one where I've never done a gift before, yes, it will be essentially who spams the most. I mean, it's not going to be who spams the most, but here's what my plan is. Just to let you know. I'm going to pull this over here. And I'm going to go like this, close my eyes, scroll around, and click on one. And whichever one I click on will be the winner. Okay. And like I said, if you already bought the season pass, definitely still put your Flock username in the chat, because if you win, I'll refund your $34 back. Jalen Hurts goes 45. Alex says, can't you do it based on the list of who's viewing instead of who comments? The thing is, not everybody watching this has an account on flockfantasy.com. We'll take Jamison Williams. I think Jamison's the one wide receiver that won't make it back to us. And there are a couple different guys that I like at pick 50 here. I think y'all know who my plan A is. Draco probably knows who my plan A is. I just realized Draco's in this draft with us. But he takes George Pickens, so I'm completely fine what happens. Devonta Smith's my plan A. Cortland Sutton's my plan B. Kind of regardless, I wasn't going to take Pickens there. Alan says, what do you recommend purchasing in addition to the $34 one? So really the $34 season pass gets you everything on the site. The only thing that you could purchase in addition to that is if you really like the site and you wanted to upgrade to an annual membership, if you upgrade to an annual membership, you'll get access year round and you'll get a free team review as well. But like there won't be anything else and there you can purchase like trade and start set questions on the site. But if you use promo code FLOCK when you signed up and bought the season pass, you'll already have like free trade questions and free start set question vouchers on your account. So there's not really anything else to purchase additionally, unless you wanted a roster review. But the way the math works, let me just double check this. A roster review, if you use promo code FLOCK, because usually the roster reviews $79, but if you use promo code FLOCK and you have a season pass, then anything you purchase from me will be 30% off. So then a roster review at that point would be 55.3, so $55.30. So you could purchase a roster review and you want, but you probably you haven't even drafted yet, so I wouldn't do that. If you're planning on doing that and you wanted the roster review voucher, then what's the difference between an annual Mother Flocker and a season pass? 63. So I'd probably just upgrade to an annual Mother Flocker because you'll get the roster review voucher and this additional start set question voucher and an additional trade question voucher. But realistically, I would just wait. Like if you got the season pass, you have everything other than a roster review. Okay. Chris Olave off the board at pick 62. James Conner goes at 63. RJ Harvey goes after Caleb Johnson. Yeah, I'm just not going to take a lot of Caleb if this is the cost. So Jacoby Myers off the board. So we will not be able to take Joe Burrow here. We don't have Higgins. Draco doesn't either. Who took Higgins? Okay. Vigels has Higgins, and of course he goes Burrow. Ryan says, what would your strategy be in an auction draft? Every auction is so different. The number one thing is, and this is the most boring strategy, but to stay flexible. Dave Montgomery off at 69. Stephon Diggs goes at pick 70. Robert says, is it true that James Cook's holding out due to a penile enhancement surgery? So this is doctor-patient confidentiality, whatever it's called. But I may or may not have referred him to the surgeon who did my operation. We'll take Jerry Jeudy here. When we start Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, very similar to the first draft, we just kind of want to be playing catch up at wide receiver. Okay. Yeah, big word. Y'all know very rarely will I go out on a limb and use a word that's larger than 3 syllables on this live stream. It's a little nerve-wracking. Puts me in a tough spot, but hell, got to get out of your comfort zone every once in a while. Okay. Let's see. Dalton says this is for football or basketball. That's not even funny. Okay. Bryce says, Mason, do you have any tips for a dynasty startup, no Superflex? I would legitimately say this, whether it was my website or not, but like all the biggest dynasty creators contribute to this. So just, even if you're not a paid member, just using the expert average dynasty one quarterback rankings on the site will help you out a ton. So go to the site and change the format to dynasty one quarterback. And I promise you that'll be a good starting point. Mark Andrews off at 84. Obviously, Andrews has been a big-time riser with a likely surgery. Dylan says, is the $500 that you queued a slow or regular draft? It is a regular draft. Michael says, Mason, do you update the cheat sheets? Yes, we actually just updated the cheat sheets yesterday. Afin says, how likely is it that Rice gets suspended? I'd say probably, like, if I had to guess, and this is just me pulling a random number out of my butt, 85%. So Khalil Shakir finally falling with the high ankle sprain. This is kind of what I expected, but in the first two drafts, Shakir just went as normal in round 7. Shakir finally off the board here at pick 92, which is about where I have him ranked. Looking at the quarterback, Kyler doesn't do anything for us, so we can just go ahead and take TJ Hawkinson as our first tight ends. This does open us up to potentially taking JJ McCarthy later on. Brock Purdy goes 96. Dak Prescott off the board as well. F it. I know this is going to look idiotic and looks like I'm just clicking the top of ADP every time, but realistically, in a league like this where week 15 and week 16, you only have to play against one other person, stacking doesn't matter nearly as much. And at the same time, you need to score the most points of anybody in this 12-team draft to advance to the playoffs. So I'm just going to take Kyler Murray because I think he scores the most points. Colin says, when are you doing the mock on the Flock website? Right after this. Our team says, does Underdog have basketball? Yes, I think Underdog has the biggest basketball draft tournaments of any side in the world. Afin says, Mason, do you root for a team in real life ever or just kind of stay neutral? Sorry if you've heard this story 1,000 times, but so I am very weird with how I got into the NFL. So I think most people's common experience is, oh, their dad was a Cowboys fan, so they started watching Cowboys games when they were 4, and they became a Cowboys fan, and then they got into fantasy football. That was not my experience. My parents weren't fans of any teams. Well, we didn't watch NFL games. Then maybe at about 9 or 10 years old, I joined my mom's work fantasy football league, drafted a fantasy football team, and started watching NFL games for the first time. So the first time that I ever watched the NFL was under the context of me rooting for my fantasy football players. I grew up in San Antonio. In San Antonio, we don't have any football teams. So I don't have a team that I root for. Like, I lived in Tampa for a year, and while I was there for that year, I tried rooting for the Bucks, but I just really couldn't get into it. So I think it would be a lot more fun if I had a team to root for and had a team to root for plus my own fantasy football teams and my players. And I feel like I'm missing out because I don't have it, but I just truly don't. Mana says, are you a Spurs fan? Of course I'm a Spurs fan. I would say the only teams that I am actively a fan of would be the Spurs. And of course, you better believe we got the helmet right here. Our Texas Longhorns. Maybe we throw this. I'm not going to throw it on. I'm not trying to squeeze my head in that little hole. We can take Caleb and then go with Loveland on the way back. Or we can go McCarthy and pair him up with Hawkinson and give ourselves flexibility. What do we want? We're going to go McCarthy. And I'm an idiot. Team, Drake already had 2 quarterbacks. He had Purdy and Dak, so he probably wasn't taking a third. And David Njoku, I am so dumb. Oh my gosh, I botched that so bad. And I knew the second that I took McCarthy that it was bad. I was just, to be honest with you, I was just insecure that y'all were going to keep making fun of me for taking the player at the top of ADP. But that would have been the correct play, because we could have gone Caleb and then we could have got Loveland in the next round. Or we should have gone David Njoku knowing that Draco was going to take another quarterback and got McCarthy in the next round. So it is what it is. But Y'all cook me in the flock tournament per usual. So, Dalton says Mason is one of those big women Barkley be talking about. That is true. That is true. And all jokes aside, Charles Barkley does only speak facts when it comes to San Antonio women. Like whenever I moved from the suburbs in San Antonio to Austin, I was like, oh my gosh. These are the hottest girls I've ever seen. Then I moved to Tampa and I was like, oh my gosh. These are the hottest girls I've ever seen. But I think it's just the Charles Barkley San Antonio effect in reality. Angel says, do you have a P.O. box where we can send your stuff? Yeah, let me pull up the address. I'm not gonna do it. It was good. It wasn't a funny enough joke to take away from the screen. I was gonna search on Google White House address and then show that on the screen. Yeah, but that would have been funny enough. Ray Davis off the board at 136. Kyle Williams goes 137. Dalton says, Mason, those in Austin weren't actually women. Well, whatever they were, they're better than what's going on in San Antonio. I'll tell you that much. Steve says, Happy Gilmore 2 was hilarious. Well, I still have yet to see it because the lady is still with her family. It doesn't get back until tomorrow. And I'm not allowed to watch it, apparently, until she is here. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it, but I have yet to see Happy Gilmore 2. Dallas Goedert goes 141. Quentin Johnson, 142. I think we probably take a running back here. We're going to take Trey Benson. Y'all know I've just been drafting Benson all year, and getting James Conner coming out telling us that Trey Benson's going to have a larger role. 99% of the time, I would say like, oh, that's just a teammate speaking positively about his player, being a good guy. But whenever I've drafted a bunch of Trey Benson, I'm going to act like it matters. So we'll use it as an excuse to go ahead and grab another Trey Benson share. King Rube says, did the lady get to hang with Sandler? Yes, she did talk to him every day. Let's move. Angel says, I was asking about the PO because I'm really into colognes and have spot over never even worn. I wanted to send you one. I don't exactly know what you mean, but here's the last thing I would ever do. If I had a P.O. box and you sent me cologne, the last thing I would ever do is spray that on myself. Could be bleach, could be fart spray, could be a whole number of things. But if one of these days ever I do have a P.O. box and y'all can send stuff, we can do like a P.O. box unboxing. Don't bother sending me cologne because I'm not spraying it. Okay. Now let's move this over. Tyler Algier goes, this is funny. Bro thinks he's the president. That's pretty good. Steve says, my girl gets turned on about cologne. I can't leave the house without it. TMI, my friend. TMI. But my cologne is the good old-fashioned B.O. We have Isaiah Likely off 161. Decent little slide there. That's the first tight end for that guy. Here, quarterback and tight end, we're kind of in a similar situation to like the last drafts. Like we can definitely take a third, but we don't need one. Geno Smith goes, team after us. Draco already has 3 quarterbacks. So what do we do? I'm going to take Jerome Ford. Starting running back week 1. This is a tournament where you need to have all the points to make it to the actual fantasy playoffs. And then we will take Darnold's for the JSN stack. Seahawks fan says, Mason, should I get my 2-year-old into fantasy? I promise you, whenever I have a kid, I'm going to train that kid to be a fantasy football guru. By the time that kid is 4 years old, they will be in the Flock League. Now, are they going to be in there because of nepotism? Am I going to get them in there with no challenge? No, of course not. They're going to have to send an audition tape just like anybody else. But if they have anything, if I have a kid and it's half of me, right? I can only imagine the audition tape's going to be killer. Okay, Anthony Richardson goes 175. Yeah, D1 fantasy footballer. Putting him on that track day 1. Oh, says Mason, I thought you already had like 8 kids. 8 kids, 0 legitimate. Mason Taylor off 179. Yeah, Rafael says, imagine the head on that kid. Dear God. Kid will have a big head. Yeah, I'm gonna raise my kid, telling him stories about Trey Lance. I'm gonna show him the Hall of Fame game. Here's what I'm gonna do. My kid's gonna be 3 years old. I'm gonna show him the Hall of Fame game from this year, and go, look, this is what they call the Hall of Fame game. The Hall of Fame is all the best players to have ever played, and they got them all together for this one game. And here's the best quarterback to ever touch the ball. Trey Lance. Watch him cook. This is who we look up to in this household. Will Shipley off 189. We know we need a receiver, and we know that we have Kyler with no real Arizona stack outside of maybe Trey Benson, which doesn't really count. Michael Wilson in concussion protocol, but I think he's pretty safe to be in 2 wide receiver sets, so we'll take him here at the 16-17 turn. First child named Trey Lance Dodd. That'd be a good name. Strong name. Regal name. Okay, let's see what Draco does. My plan A here is going to be Keenan Allen. And he takes Keenan Allen, of course. So what do we do? Running back, I think we can take a 6th if we want, given the draft settings. No, never mind. Looking at our team, we need wide receivers. I'm going to take Tyler Lockett. And then I'm going to queue up another receiver here. Queue up Roman Wilson. Queue up Deontay Johnson. Queue up Elikio Manor. And then we'll just queue up a bunch of these guys to make sure we get a receiver because we need to go over to the Flock draft. Okay, so let's hop into draft on flockfantasy.com. And let's get this going. So again, these drafts are free. Not nearly as fun as drafts on Underdog. I think we can all agree on that. But this is going to help me prep for the Flock League draft, which is what I need. And also it helps me test out my rankings. So let me pull up the mock drafts section. Let's see how many mock drafts have been done today too. I think there are going to be like 5,000 mock drafts done today. And so how this works, you can always go to the mock draft page on flockfantasy.com. You can get in a draft simulation against bots. You can do a 2025 draft in the public lobby, or you can start a private draft, send it to your friends, whatever you want. But we are going to be getting in a PPR 2025 draft. Let's join the queue here. And I told somebody we'd be picking at pick 10 today. They said that we never pick here. So here we are. We're at pick 10. I don't know if it's true that we never pick here, but they said it in the live stream. So I will try to make everyone happy, and we'll do it. And let's get this going. Rafael says, Mason training this kid with flashcards when he's getting potty trained. Who is the leading rushing in Happy PR 2025? I know when people like public people have kids, they like keep them out of the spotlight. They'll put their kids, like if they take a picture with their kid on Instagram, they'll blur out the face and stuff. Here's what we're doing with my kid. I'm going to put a little harness right there. He is going to hang from the ceiling like this in a little bouncy baby thing. And he will just sit here and watch this live stream and watch his dad put in work in fantasy football drafts. And after doing that for 18 years, I'm telling you, he will be the best fantasy football drafter on this planet. So CMC off the board. Let's pull this up. Average expert ranks have Malik Neighbors the best pick. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I preferred the Lions offense over the Giants. Even if I do think Malik Neighbors is a much better wide receiver, I will take Amon-Ra St. Brown here at pick 10. Okay. Ashton Shinty on the turn. My rankings, I have Brock Bowers. The highest expert average has Derrick Henry. I'm going to take Bowers. Let's run it. Realistically, I probably need to move Bowers behind Derrick Henry in my rankings because we'll try to make this work. But it feels like every time I take the elite tight ends, I end up regretting it. Pat's fan says, one day, once he learns enough, he'll lean over and select Trey Lance 101 while you're looking away. And when he does that, he can graduate from Flock Fantasy University. And I'll let him leave this room. But I'm assuming that's going to take him quite a bit of time to learn. Andy says, hey, how many Flock contests are there on Underdog? How did you get that on there? There are 3 Flock tournaments on Underdog every week. There's going to be a Flock community tournament on Sunday, on Tuesday, and Friday every week until the season starts. And Underdog is actually really cool about this. If anybody here wants to start a Underdog tournament, all you have to do is reach out to Underdog support and say, hey, I want this tournament. I'll hear all the details, right? So if you wanted to start your own tournament on Underdog, Andy, just reach out to Underdog and say, hey, I want to name this tournament the Andy Big Bash. It's going to be a $20 million prize pool, 50-cent buy-in, 24-person drafts. We're going to make it double PPR, tight end premium, and it's going to be a league where we only draft kickers and defenses. You send them that message, and I am sure that they'd be very happy to get the tournament going for you. But let's move this over. And Trey McBride goes off at the 212. And obviously, please, that was a joke. Nobody reach out to Underdog bothering about setting up a tournament. Thankfully, Underdog was nice enough to set us up a tournament, but I had to get a little bit of begging. Had to go, please, pretty please, please. And they got it going. So Ham says, Mason, if I win one of the Flock Underdog drafts, you have to do a collab with me on YouTube. Here's my official, because the thing is, y'all are, like, if we do, say, 12 Flock tournaments, there are going to be 12 of y'all, right? I'm not going to have 12 people on the live stream next year. or if we do like 15 flock tournaments, 15 of y'all are going to win. Like, there have already been people that have come by this live stream and said like, oh, I'm happy the flock tournaments are back. I won 10,000 last year, whatever it may have been. But that's not possible. But here's what I will promise. If you win Best Ball Mania, or if you win the Eliminator, or if you win the Marathon, or if you win the Sprint, or if you win the Big Dog, open invite to come on the live stream. We're going to take Kyron Williams here at the 310. Highest ranked player in my rankings. I'm sure he wasn't the highest ranked player in the average. I'm sure Marvin Harrison was the highest ranked player in the average. But I think the other guys on the side are wrong about that. Okay. So Marvin Harrison off at 311. Jaden Daniels goes 312. Andrew says, how about the Millie Maker? Doesn't count. Has to be an underdog tournament. I'm going to take the elite quarterback with Jalen Hurts at the 403. This is a start I'd really like in a single flex format. In a double flex league, like if this was the flock league, I'd be a little bit concerned, but we'll see. Seahawks fan says, what does autofocus mean on the drafts? So if you're drafting in one of the just mock drafts on flockfantasy.com, not the underdog tournament, underdog flock tournament, so I want to make sure we're on the same page where we know that they are different things. There's this autofocus button. So like, I know we just made the screen really small, but imagine you were on mobile. If you hit autofocus, what's going to happen here is whenever a pick is made and it goes to the next little thing, the draft board will automatically slide. So you can just see easily the board as it goes. Now, I obviously myself go ahead and slide the screen for y'all when we're watching this live stream, and on desktop, you can fit the entire thing in, but look, hands off and it's just going by itself. So autofocus doesn't really matter if you're on a computer screen and it's big enough where, I mean, you can just see everything at the same time. But if you were drafting on your phone, we can't fit the entire draft board on your phone. So we turn on autofocus and it goes for you. Oh, I forgot to... is that live? Vinny says, Mason, thank the devs for putting XX picks until you chirp on the tab. Is that live? Let me see. The devs have been absolutely... Oh, that is awesome. That is live. So look, if the devs have been cooking, I got to give them some credit. I give them a lot of crap a lot of times, but they've been cooking as of late. So I guess they just updated it where it's like on Underdog, where if you like tab over, it will like tell you how many picks until your turn. It does that here on the site too. I brought that up to them. I did not think they were going to be capable of doing it, Vinny. I'm happy they got it done for you, though. Okay. Andy says, so you get paid from Underdog for setting up the flock contest. I get paid from Underdog, period, for sponsoring the streams, but I do not get paid any more or any less for the flock tournaments themselves. I was the one to ask Underdog for it, and they are doing it for me as a favor because I think it would be cool to have them for the live stream. So I do get paid from Underdog, and I get paid from Underdog when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. And that's why I'm willing to go ahead and give you our draft guide and draft guide sheets for free when you use promo code FLOCK and make a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy, because I am paid for that. But the flock tournaments, I am not paid any more or any less for. Raphael says Mason negotiates his Underdog contract with the Big Q drafts. Yes, I have the same agent as Quentin Johnston. So my rankings, I have RJ Harvey the highest. The expert average has Travis Hunter. I have Zay Flowers. So in reality, I think one of the receivers is going to make it back to us. We're going to really roll the dice here. If this was my start in the Flock League, I would be crapping myself. I would be terrified. We're going to take RJ Harvey here at the 5'10 and only have Amon-Ra St. Brown through the first 5 rounds. God. And we have the 3 wide receivers go. Expert average has Caleb as the highest. I have Swift as the highest, but we're going to pass on both and we're going to take Jordan Addison and take the receiver. I do not like our draft. But Sarlt says, why are the other experts higher on Rome than DJ Moore? Because they are crazy. Like, it is true that out of Chicago, beat reporters are saying, oh, Rome looks great. Rome may be the wide receiver 1 this year, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I still have DJ Moore ranked ahead of Rome Odunze. But yeah, the rest of the creators, I mean, the creator average on the site has it flipped. But Seahawks fan says, which expert do you think is most delusional? I think that they're all a little delusional with specific takes. I don't think one is any more delusional than the next overall, if that makes sense. Okay, and then again, at the end of this draft, I'm going to be giving away a season pass to flockfantasy.com. So just get ready to give me your flockfantasy.com username. And again, if you've bought in a season pass and you get the free one, then you will be getting a refund. The $34 will go back to your account. Even if you bought the season pass like 5 days ago. Okay. Jerry Jeudy goes to the 6'11". And yes, I did all of the Flock community tournaments drafts on Underdog today. You only get to do 3 of them, and I did all 3. Andy says, you do a great job. That's cool. You got your own tournament on Underdog. Also, get them live. How do I get on your show? Here, Andy, I'm going to message you a link right now. And you just click the link and you'll be on. Okay, that was just sent to you. And yeah, come on whenever you want. Vito says, how do you keep up putting in all your lineups every week with drafting so many different teams? I am only going to have one main redraft league I care about this year, and that's the Flock League. Those Underdog drafts that we do, they're best ball drafts, so you don't submit your starting lineup every week. The best starting lineup submitted for you at the end of every single week. So say like you draft Quentin Johnston at the end of your draft and you were never expecting it, but Quentin Johnston has a massive blow up, then he automatically slides into your starting lineup. Or say you have your 2 quarterbacks are Jalen Hurts and then like Bryce Young. And in week 3 or whatever, Jalen Hurts has a horrible performance and Bryce Young throws for 3 passing touchdowns and 300 passing yards. Even if you never predicted it, Bryce Young would slide into your starting lineup over Jalen Hurts. And at the same time, you don't have any waiver wire moves, no trades. So your rosters are locked. There's nothing to do after the draft. And then these drafts on flockfantasy.com, they're not real leagues, but this is just a mock draft. So there's only one team outside of my dynasty teams that I have to manage during the season, and that's the Flock League. Okay, I don't know why Andy hasn't joined yet. Hopefully he comes on soon. Brian Robinson off 707. Sebastian says, wait, so if you have a bunch of players get injured in best ball, no waiver wire, you just lose? Yes, that is true. If your opponents have a bunch of players that get injured, you win, they lose. Michael, Underdog is available in Canada outside of Ontario. So we need wide receivers here, which is nice. Just looking at the best players available. According to my rankings, it's a bunch of receivers. According to the expert average, it's Mahomes and then receivers. But we already have Jalen Hurts. So I'm just going to take my favorite wide receiver in this range, which will be Deebo Samuel. Getting Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 43 feels like a very strong option considering the Terry McLaurin potential movement. But I still do think that Terry more likely than not is going to be a Commander. Okay. Egbuka goes the 712. Jaden Reed goes 801. Tyron Tracy off. We're just going to take another wide receiver. We're going to take Jacoby Myers. And I was extremely concerned about our team through the first 5 rounds. But getting Deebo Samuel and Myers at this point does not make it a good team, but it makes it a serviceable team. So we'll go. We will run with it. P Dunk says Egbuka flying up Underdog boards. That is true. And I think he's flying up the rankings on the site too. Let me pull this up. Egbuka's ranked wide receiver 43 in the expert average ranks. Right behind like Jennings, Reed, Ricky Pearsall, Stephon Diggs. So he's been a riser on the site. Expert average ranks still have Godwin ahead of him, but in Underdog drafts, Egbuka goes before Godwin. Okay, so after we take Myers, you have Mahomes going at the 804. I really do like the Mahomes pick, but again, when we go Jalen Hurts in round 4, we're not allowed to take Mahomes in round 8. We can definitely take a second quarterback, second tight end if you want when you have Brock Bowers, Jalen Hurts. You definitely don't have to. Like, we'd prefer not to. But if we get some phenomenal value at quarterback in like round 13 where we think, oh, we can possibly take Justin Fields round 13 and flip him if he has a really strong start to the year, we'll do it. Seven Head says, how many are in the $500 draft? Might have to join. I'm going to have to update the title of this live stream because everybody left the $500 draft. The closest we got to filling it was 4 people away. So we are not going to. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to leave the $500 draft and we will run back us trying to get in the $500 draft tomorrow night. So draft will be tomorrow night. Cooper Kupp goes 903. Grant booing us. I'm sorry. There's only so much I can do. I entered in the $500 draft. We got it close to getting filled. And it just stopped whatever momentum. And then everybody left. Enduro Zach says, don't you want to take at least 2 tight ends and quarterbacks for bye weeks? Not in a regular redraft league like this. This isn't a best ball draft. This is just a regular redraft mock on flockfantasy.com. And there in a regular redraft league, you have access to the waiver wire. So whenever Jalen Hurts is on bye in week 9, I can just go ahead and take it. I can pick up a quarterback off the waiver wire for that. If you have Jalen Hurts, you don't need to be rostering a quarterback until week 9 just to fill him in for that 1 week. So if you take another quarterback in your draft, it's off the hopes that like, oh, this is incredible value where I can possibly flip him if he starts off hot. Loveland goes 909. My highest ranked player is Jalen Warren. Highest ranked on the site is Charbonnet. So honestly, I think looking at, and I would do this with my own rankings versus ADP as well, right? Which the average expert rank on the site kind of works as ADP. So We'll take Charbonnet with the expectations that he wouldn't make it back to us. Chris Hammer says, Mason, any advice for the Badge Bros tourney? Grab an elite tight end, grab an elite quarterback, but in reality, I have no idea. I would be clueless. It's definitely more of a DFS style tournament. So, not my out. It's not up my alley. So Evan Ingram goes to the 10-01. Brock Purdy goes as well. We will take Jaylen Warren as our fourth RB. I actually do like Jaylen Warren on a team where we have RJ Harvey. Because with this, we can assume like, oh, if Harvey's not usable at the beginning of the season due to J.K. Dobbins, maybe Jaylen Warren's a starting running back at the beginning of the year over Caleb Johnson. Nate at Kansas Mason, how to enter the season pass giveaway. I'm just going to ask you once we get to the end of this draft to drop your Flock Fantasy username in the chat. And I will scroll around and click on somebody randomly, looking away, close my eyes. Oh. High carb diet. That is true. Speaking of high carb diet, I just learned that. So here is the cheat code of all cheat codes. You could probably only do this if you live in a larger city. I don't know where Sweet Greens are. I don't know if they're in smaller cities, but whenever I had to be in LA for a bit with a lady when she was working on Happy Gilmore, I did this all the time. And now I just learned that it's the same thing in Austin. So I already told you all about my Costco Uber Eats deals, right? So you go to Costco, you can buy $100 worth of Uber Eats gift cards / Uber gift cards. It can be used for either for $80. Use code FLOCK. Then, so anything you get on Uber Eats is 20% off. Then you never get it delivered because if you get it delivered, you have to pay a ton of fees. You have to tip a driver. You just pick it up yourself. And you always look for the deals on the app. So 99% of the time that I get food for lunch, I'll just get a buy one, get one free burrito, buy one, get one free chicken katsu, whatever it may be. And I'll place it on the Uber Eats app, like leaving the gym. I'll go pick it up and it'll be like buy one, get one free. So it was like half off for that. Then I got 20% off because I used the Costco gift card method. And Sweet Green, which if you haven't Sweet Green before, pretty good. Just ate it before the stream. Always does like specific plates for like not 50% off, but like 40% off. So if you do my Costco hack, you can get Sweet Green for like 40% the cost that it usually is. It's like $6 to get it. Where usually if you go, it's like $20. Okay. Jared Goff goes at the 11:02. Javante at the 11:03. Yes, and there is a Costco Flock discount. Like I said, whenever you are checking out with your Costco cashier, just please tell him, hey, I was sent from flockfantasy.com. I'm going to need to use promo code FLOCK, and he'll hook you up. Dominic says, Jersey Mike's always has a free number 7 when you spend 15. Yeah, Jersey Mike's always does have a deal on there. They changed the app where it's a little bit tougher. I've done this for like a year. As soon as the lady started working on the movie and she left and I was just last football season, left all alone to defend for myself for food, I had to fully commit to like, I'm not cooking anymore. Because during the season, I'm legit working 90-hour weeks minimum. So I was only doing the Uber Eats thing. And they used to have the app set up where like I could just hit offers pickup and it would only show me the offers. Now they've gotten rid of that where I have to kind of hunt for stuff on the app, which makes it tougher. But I do see Jersey Mike's on there on the offers all the time. I've never had Jersey Mike's though. Jason says, so you're telling me the $1.50 hot dog can be even cheaper? Well, actually, if you use code FLOCK when you purchase a hot dog, they do raise the price on you, which isn't the best. But Nick Chubb off the board. So if you're using my rankings, Christian Kirk, Trey Harris are the two highest players. If you're using the expert average, it's Kyle Williams. So we will listen to my rankings in this case, and we will take Christian Kirk. I think the tight ends are so much better picks than Christian Kirk here, but we have Brock Bowers. So and that's the issue, and that's why we possibly shouldn't be taking Brock Bowers there. I just think Brock Bowers probably outscores Drake London. But at the same time, Dallas Goedert may outscore Christian Kirk. So, and I may need to move Dalton Kincaid ahead of Dallas Goedert with the Khalil Shakir high ankle sprain. Najee Harris goes 1201. So wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jordan Addison, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers. Wide receiver, we have Christian Kirk. Running back, we have Kyron, RJ Harvey, Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Warren. Trey Harris goes. So once Trey Harris is gone, I'm going to take Jerome Ford. I think Jerome Ford's probably starting running back week 1. Now, do I think he's a starting running back by the time you get to the fantasy playoffs? Hell no. Which is why I would not be drafting Jerome Ford in like an underdog draft aggressively. But here in your regular redraft league, when you have access to the waiver wire and you can drop him, like you can take him here in the third to last round and have a free starting running back for week 1. There's no way Dylan Sampson's starting over this dude his first week in the NFL. Dylan Sampson was just a day 3 pick. I think Dylan Sampson's probably the guy by the end of the year if it's not Quinshon Judkins. But I'd be surprised if Sampson was the guy week 1. So Alexander says, Mason, should I keep Jaden Reed for $3 in my auction league or should I let him go in free per spot? I have no idea. It really depends on the dynamics of your auction league. Okay, we got people in the chat talking about WWE tonight. Is there WWE stuff happening? Let me look up on Twitter right now. WWE. Okay, here's something that does annoy me, where it realistically shouldn't. But I just looked up WWE, and I think this is, yeah, it's John Cena. And it's probably I'm just a jealous hater going bald, and this shouldn't bother me whatsoever. But am I the only one who gets really annoyed when Hollywood celebrities or whoever it may be, like John Cena, Tom Brady's really bad about this. They go so hard into plastic surgery that they have to look extremely young, even when they are very old. Like Tom Brady and John Cena are almost 50. They shouldn't look like this. Tom Brady shouldn't have a hairline better now than when he was 23 years old, drafted to the NFL. Like, I don't know why it bothers me so much. But like seeing like Tom Brady look like how he actually does versus seeing him 30 years later kind of the same thing with like John Cena. I look at John Cena, I'm like, you're 50 years old. I know what my dad looks like at 50. In general, I know what a 50-year-old looks like. But I don't know. Again, I'm probably just a jealous hater, but the Hollywood look where it's, I'm going to somehow look younger at 50 than I did at 30. It gets to me. Okay, Jill and Noel Leggett both go. I'm just going to take a quarterback and a tight end around this out. We'll take... I'm not going to do that. Maybe it would make us look a little better in the league analyzer, but last 2 rounds, I'm going to take somebody that could potentially win us this league. We'll take Tyler Algier here. If tomorrow in training camp, Bijan Robinson tore an ACL, Tyler Algier would turn into a league winner. Nothing could happen tomorrow to make CJ Stroud that. Michael says it worked for Belichick. I see his lady. Yeah, again, like I'm definitely a hypocrite because if I had $100 million, I would do the same thing. So with the last pick, I need to take somebody that I'll feel comfortable cutting after week 1 if I don't like their role. Pat Bryant, I won't feel comfortable cutting. Maybe Jalen McMillan, I would. Yeah, we're going to take McMillan because I think we'll get a sense week 1 what the situation is with Godwin. And for that reason, I'm going to actually move McMillan up our rankings ahead of Pat Bryant. Because Pat Bryant, like, after week 1, I mean, I guess you could say, like, oh, what happens if he sees a considerable amount of work early? But Michael Penix, 1407. Let's pull up our 2025 rankings. Let's pull up Jalen McMillan. I'm going to move McMillan ahead of... Actually, I already have McMillan ahead of Pat Bryant. Or where do I have Pat Bryant on this? I don't have Pat Bryant ranked. That's the thing. I need to add him. Okay. And we'll see where we're at in the league analyzer, and then we will give away the season pass. We'll add Pat Bryant after Jalen McMillan. Andrew Zach says Algier also in the offer sent to Dallas for Parsons. That would be great. I do think Tyler Algier goes to Dallas. He is the starting running back. This is funny. Tate says, if Mason was a WWE wrestler, his finishing move would be the flock frenzy, where you jump off the top rope, flap his arms like they were wings, and land an elbow drop on his opponent. Yeah, that was really funny, my friend. Okay, so let's see what the league analyzer is going to tell us we got cooked. I already know. Our draft was not good. I need to show some more patience. I can't be taking Brock Bowers where we did. Dead last in the league analyzer. Putting in my values, I'm not even a top 3 team. I'm 5th. So we kind of knew, and I think that shows how good the league analyzer is. I draft a crap team, I know it's a crap team, and then immediately it shows me I'm dead last. So I guess I'd rather the league analyzer on the site be working than me draft a good team. It's better that than me drafting a garbage team and it saying number 1. So looks like we are officially over 32,000 drafts done on flockfantasy.com. And let's give away a season pass here. So here's what I'm going to need from you. I am pulling up this chat. So I'm going to just go like this and close my eyes and click something. And whenever I click a message, it pops up down here. So you'll see who wins. So go to the chat right now and spam your Flock Fantasy username for a 2025 season pass. Do this even if you have already bought the season pass, because if you've bought the season pass, I will get you a refund. So, and you're only eligible if you sign up to Underdog. I'm sorry, not signed up to Underdog. Signed up to, you have an account on flockfantasy.com. That's what I meant to say. All right, so get that name spammed in. I will turn around, scroll up and down, and figure something out here. All right. Eyes are closed. As you can tell, I'm facing all the way around. I've been scrolling up and down, up and down, up and down. Probably want to go all the way down to make sure I'm still picking where the names are. All right. Let's go. All right. I'm going to click. We clicked. Hopefully it selected someone. Alex Androkites. All right. You got it, my friend. Let me look you up, see if I can find you on the site, and see if I can figure out how to give away a free season pass. And let's move this over. But please, for the love of God, make this easy. And also, of course, you can always buy a season pass. It is, in my opinion, very biased opinion, but with all the tools that we have on the site, with all the creators that we have on the site, all putting out their own products that they work very hard on, I think it is by far and away the best product that you will ever find from a fantasy football perspective. The only instance where I cannot say that with confidence is if you are looking for best ball tools or if you are looking for DFS tools. If you're trying to dominate DraftKings or FanDuel, we are not going to be able to help you whatsoever on flockfantasy.com. We don't have the tools for it right now. But for your regular fantasy football league, I am very confident in saying that that is where we can help a ton. And oh dear God. Alex, can you let me know your Flock Fantasy username one more time? It's AA22. Got it. And it's only $34 too. So in my very, very biased opinion, it is both the best as well as the cheapest fantasy football product that you could possibly get. AA22, I just found you. Voucher, I could find a way to give you a voucher. I can't find a way to give you a... Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I just took a screenshot of your account on the site. I'll show you the proof that I did this. And I will send this in the chat with the developers and say, hey, can we get this guy a free 2025 season pass? But I'm sorry. I'll set that up where I can do that quicker this next time. But anyway, if anybody else wants one, again, I stand by. Best product, and we are giving away for the cheapest. So you can find the link in the chat, description, comment section, wherever it is. Code FLOCK. I'll answer your start set questions. I'll answer your trade questions during the season. And the other thing with that is, obviously, I would love to have you in the Flock draft tournaments that we are hosting on Underdog. Super fun way to get some extra dollars down for the season while still not replacing or taking anything away from your regular redraft league. Code FLOCK for that will also get you my 50 draft guide cheat sheets for this year as well, and a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. But I really appreciate y'all and really hope that I get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night, where we'll try to fill that $500 draft tomorrow.